Hello everybody, and this is Paul, and I'm on Blender version 2.68, I'd say alpha. Hold on a sec, let's go to splash screen. Yes, 2.68 alpha. The release 58537 or something, whatever that is. But yeah, I've been messing with Blender lately of all things, so I finally figured out how to use it to some extent. Still very much a noob at this, so if I do some things kind of awkwardly, I may as well excuse it, because I still don't know anything about it, every aspect of this involved program, but it's usable compared to the last time I used it, because now instead of having to memorize all the hotkeys, a lot of things have tooltips. Like if you go here, it'll tell you what all the hotkeys are now. If you go back far enough in Blender, I don't remember doing it. But I tried it again on 2.68 and I was surprised to have all this stuff there. And some things, if you hover, it'll give you the shortcuts, but they'll give you like the Python information too, which is kind of useless if you're just trying to use the program. Great if you're scripting it, but who needs to see all that? And sometimes on some of these settings, like if you hover over them, it'll chop off the description, or there won't be that great a description. So there still needs to be a lot of work done. Like you could probably have some setting to hide what the scripts are and give better descriptions, but it's still in development, it's still going along, so eventually they'll get there. It's the way I see it. And okay, somebody on the internet was asking like how did I do Mosaic textures on a Blender object. And Mosaic's like multiple images. And I was putzing around and I think I figured out how to do it to some extent. So that's what I'm going to show you today. No, I don't know that much. I figured out some things. Okay, so we'll go from the regular Blender render to the cycles render. I find cycles a little bit easier to mess with, so you gotta click there to go cycles. And I'm just gonna mess with the starting brick. I'm not gonna do anything too fancy. But if you notice when you click on these things, this one brings you your materials. You can scroll this, by the way, so you don't have to drag the sidebar out all the way. You can just drag this out enough where you see stuff, and then you can scroll that part with the scroll wheel, which is kind of handy. And so we got the material selected in the material tab or selector, whatever you call it. And cycles, you have to use nodes, so you gotta click this button here. And it changes all of that. And I'm just going from the regular Blender, so you have different screen layouts too. So you start out in the default. And compositing is what you use for materials. Go in default, click the little camera icon here, which brings up the render settings. Click render, and I'll give you a preview render. It's kind of dark. This little area up here shows you all your objects. Click on the lamp. Click on that. You also need to change this in nodes so it works better in cycles. So click on that. And let's put the strength up. Let's do it by a factor of 10, 1000. It's not that bright here. And we got a nice bright light, bright enough so you can see what we're doing. And I don't really have a graphics card that supports cycles, so I just do a CPU on cycles. It still looks good, so it's not always fast, but it looks good enough, so I'm good. Quadcore's fast enough for what I'm doing. Let's go back to the cube so we can select its materials. We go back to our compositing. Let's see. Oh yeah, and this, when you go to compositing, this area here will show your nodes. I guess you have compositing nodes, texture nodes, and shader nodes. We want shader nodes. Now I'll bring up the node that's applied to our block. It's just some material right there. Okay. What is take the bricks? So we add a node, texture, brick texture. just for general purposes. Where's 0? That's fine. I don't want to do the selector. Just leave it 0. Hook this up to the color input of a diffuse channel, which is by default. And now let's go to default view, do our render thingy. We see the bricks are only applied to the top of the cube. I'm going to change that with UV mapping real quick. It's a lot more extra steps. I know, but this is like part of the process here. You just gotta bear with me for a sec. So, to get out of the render view, like if you don't know what's going on, you can click down here and switch it back to 3D view. Or if you're in, where's the render view? I guess it'd be that. Like if you're back in the render view, you can also hit escape out of that. So what we do is we have our cube selected, because if you don't have your cube selected, like you have the light selected, it'll light up. If you right click on the cube, you'll select it and you'll see the orange outline and the handles. If this is turned on, you'll see handles. I find messing with this is sometimes easier than bringing up this side window or whatever. I'm trying to figure out how to do X, Y, and Z on this translate or whatever. It's not that easy. It's a lot easier to do controls down here. Just starting out. If you remember all the hotkeys, yeah, go ahead, go do it the other way, but I don't know. I'm still a noob, so I just like the handles. That's actually convenient. I think an older version didn't have that either, so what do we want to do with the cube? We want to UV map it. So we gotta make sure it's selected and go object mode to edit mode. And we're just gonna do it real quick. I don't know if you have to be in a certain view. I think you might. Go view. Just going to hit 5. It'll give us orthogonal and this view from front. Just hit D. Not D, delete, or the dot on the number pad. That's what. Number pad. Not D. Dot on the number pad. Decimal or whatever you want to call it. And what we want is UV mapping, and we'll just do a quick cube production. Doesn't look like it did anything, but if we get out of edit mode and go back to object mode, hit 5 and hit 0 to go back to camera view. Mouse wheeling in and out a little bit. And then we go render again. Oh, it's still like this, but hold on a second. I know what I gotta do. Got to go and assign my vector information. Let's add vector. What is it? Not vector. It's texture stuff. What is it? Texture coordinates. There we go. But it is a vector, and we want UV. There. Now, when we go to hit render, there are bricks on all sides. The only qualm about this is I still don't know how to wrap the bricks properly, so it's just going to repeat the same brick texture on all sides. You aren't really going to wrap around the corners. So if you look in close, you see the bricks are not wrapped correctly. There's probably a trick to it, but I do not know that, fortunately. So, but we're just going to do a quickie image mosaic kind of thing. So we'll go back to compositing. What we want here is we want this to be full white and this to be a value. Hue saturation value makes it a little easier. Wait. 0.1. So this full white is a value of 0.1. Oh, excuse me. So this does is it we have so bias is go full negative, which I guess is color 1 on the bias, full positive 1, which is color 2 on the bias, And if you set it to 0, that is 50/50. And that gives you your brick pattern. If we hit render, it should show up here. So if you wanted all the bricks to be the first color, -1. Alright. See. And all the bricks, it's like probability to be the second color, that one. But we want them to have like low random probability. Now I could have done color 2 full black, but I wanted the mortar to stay in this image, so using full black for that. And we can go 0, 1 for mortar, I think. Or just tight lines. Yeah. Something like this. It's just a grayscale image. Purposely done that way. And let's see. So we go add a new node. And what we want is mix RGB. I guess we'll do 9 of these, I think. For the sake of having these easier to move, I'm going to put a frame around them. So you select one of these. Doesn't matter if you right or left click, just select one and you hold shift to select 2 of them. I haven't figured a way to move both of them just like that, but if you go to node, you can join in a new frame, and that lets you move everything together. I don't know if there's another way to move them without doing it, but that works. So this is a color mixer, and add another color mixer, and I might do like 3 or 4. I think I'll just do 3 for the sake of making this quick enough. Color mixer. For each color mixer, we also need to add input. Where is it? Input. Converter math. Converter math. Alright. Converter math for each one of those. And what we do here is say less than, greater than might work too. Less than. Oh, that's it. And we take all 3 of these, take the same color output. So if you take the color output of the next one, I think we'll start mixing the outputs that. We don't want that. We want the color output from here. So, for each one of those. Ah, that's annoying, and I can't scroll when I'm dragging it. Actually, I have to zoom out and get it's itty bitty. Alright, my screen is small. But I think I had it under control. I guess you could probably make a group doing this. I'm still kind of new to that. So we do is less than, and I want to say so my value of, actually it should be greater than, so it's greater than. You should all be greater than, because the black is some order. If we had white mortar, we'd do it the other way. Greater than. So if we do is, here's the way to do it with the ramp. I think I'm just going to skip doing the ramp. The ramp lets you do. I'll explain one sec. You can put a ramp in between those, like add converter color ramp. And what the ramp lets you do is create points. A sec. If I drag this here, I switch this from linear to constant. it lets you have abrupt cutoffs. So you can create like stubs. It's probably a better way of doing it, but it's fast. And problem is on the ramp, it doesn't give you the coordinate for where the slider is, so it's not really as precise as it should be. It'd be better if they'd tell you what location it is, like between 0 and 1. Don't. Why they chose not to, I don't know. But it'd be handy if they actually gave you that information. There's other tricks. Like I said, I'm still very much a noob at this. So, you have that as a value going in from the color. Each one is called a value from the color. That one is 0.1. This one is going to be greater than 0.2. This one's going to be a value greater than 0.3. You could probably do that all the way up to like 0.9 and have a couple steps here. And now we take the output of this and we put it in the factor of the associated mixer. So, what's that mixer? So what happens is anything that's greater than 0.1 will bring in what goes in the color 2 on this. So we'll just do colors real quick for now. Let's see. So anything that's greater than 0.1 will be red. Anything that's greater than 0.2 will be green. Anything that's greater than 0.3 will be blue. And you can keep doing it that way. So let's see how this works. Click render, and we see it works. The majority of it is blue. And if you wanted to, you could probably shift this value up. And then we would have a lot more green. See? So yes, it does work. And now to do images. Let's bring in images. So we go add, input. What's texture? Texture, image, texture. So we wanted image mosaic, right? So let's do image mosaic. Oh, and if you just output the bricks here to a color ramp, you can get multi-colored Legos without going through all this process. You can just use the color ramp thing I showed you to make multi-color bricks a lot more colors than a normal brick system uses. So if you want to do Lego bricks, that's an hard trick. I think you can figure it out. Probably no more than I do at Blender, so. Or if you don't, you're learning along with me. And let's see, we want texture, image texture. So instead of these colors, we're going to be taking images. Image texture. Alright. Oh, I didn't want to connect. Come on, get in here. Here we go. Yeah, let's see. Do I have any interesting images? I don't have any images, do I? Windows. Windows has like desktop images. Yes, right? Different Windows desktops. Well, I'm on a Windows system, so I'll use it. They're obviously gotten fishing default desktop. I believe bitmaps work on here. Oh, I want to open those archive files. Stucco on that one. Add. Open. Pre-wind, I guess. WinNT. That'll work. Let's just go on default and see if we can see this. Okay, so yeah, each one has an image. But I don't know if you noticed this, but I don't think it's tiling. The images it's grabbing is like the whole thing. So let's back to compositing. And I'll mix them up a little bit more. So First one, let's make that 3. Let's make this one 5. Leave that one where it is. Let's make this one a little higher. Yeah. Let's try that. It's default. Here. A little bit more random, I guess. Okay. So we want an image mosaic, I guess, but it's projecting the whole image over each UV face. We want the image to be like inside each brick, each tile. So, how do we get the image scaled down so small? Because I guess it's just taking the vector data. So what we need to do is add vector mapping. And you want UV data that projects on each face. So come back here. Oh man, it is small on my screen. It's so tiny. I don't have a huge monitor like some people do. And I'm only on 3:4 aspect. I still have an old monitor, but it has good color gamut. That's the only reason I haven't upgraded yet. So, take the output of that. And then we also take the output there. And I can't zoom out while I'm doing this. And the output there. And the scale of this is 5, and I think we want to double the scale here. So this will be 10. This will be 10. And this will be 10. So now let's go to default, click render, and yeah, every little thing that was the image is now scaled down here. Of course, they are really tiny, so if we were to take our bricks and make them bigger, let's make our bricks bigger. Let's do a scale of 2 here. Let's do a width was 3/4, so and 3. That should have the aspect ratio of a full screen. Yeah, 3/4 because on my computer it is. What was the scale here? The scale was 2, so we want to double the scale on these, which would be 4. And go back to the default. Oops, that's not what I want. Default is what I want. Render. And yeah, now you can see that each brick is still doesn't tile straight up. I guess it starts from the edge of the brick, but you get like a mosaic. Huh. There's probably something else I am missing here. Is there anything else I should know? That's 2 for scale. If we keep the scale the same, let's try that. Probably still be too big. No, not quite. It should be double. It should be double. Maybe it's just the aspect ratio. The images are all the same. That's probably what it is. There's probably some trick to make them stretch to fit, but I don't know it offhand. I think single image would do that, but it stretches the single image over the whole thing, not over the vector space. What? Generated maybe? Generated work on that? You can try that. No, that just makes random these patterns. I don't know what it's doing. It has to be single image. I guess you could have video clips if you animated this. Single images. Well, as close as I can get it. Like I said, I'm still a noob. If you know a trick to do better, you can comment or post your own video on how to do it. But you can take all kinds of images and get them put into a brick texture. Just like that. And if you know how to wrap the bricks or get these images to actually fit without having to mess around too much, like I said, post in the comments. But there you go, there's an idea how you can have like a brick or tile mosaic of images off the computer, or you can do colors. Do like Lego bricks or whatever. You could probably dump procedurals into each brick too if you wanted like different style procedural bricks. Or wood blocks and cement blocks and metal blocks, whatever all mixed together. Yeah, it could probably come in handy for that, but anyhow, this probably is long enough, so I'm gonna wrap it up, and that's all for now. Me and my noobish Blender stuff. So there you go.